So, Kristina, I know your parents are divorced. How does that make you feel?
My parents have been divorced since I was probably a child, about like maybe 1 or 2 years old. Obviously, at that age, I really didn't understand the meaning of divorce or what was going on. It was unfortunate that all I really knew was that I saw my father on a schedule. I saw him whenever he could see me. It wasn't like every other kid in the world was able to be with their father and let them tuck him in at night. It wasn't like my father could give me milk and cookies before I go to bed or talk to me about my homework or try to help me on certain things. I grew up knowing that, all right, at this time is when you can see your dad and he has to bring you back home at this time of this day. And it was hard. It wasn't a lot of time with my father as much as I wanted growing up. Um, so it really it hurt. It took a definitely emotional toll on me as I got older because then I knew what was going on. I didn't know exactly necessarily what happened between him and my mom because both of them have different stories about everything that happened. So it's really hard to say that I know the truth. But I do know that my parents have loved me for a very long time and they still do. And I know now that I'm a lot more older and more mature that it was needed. It needed to be done.
Yeah.
But it still hurt knowing that every kid on the block was able to be with their father 24/7, go to the park and have him push you on the swing for hours and hours and not have to worry about coming home before the lights go out. On my end, my dad had to ask my mom for permission to come see me and take me to like Chuck E. Cheese or something or to the park.
So, you're living with your mom.
I am living with my mom.
You've always lived with your mom?
Yes, and she has sole custody of me as of right now. And I do visit my father every other weekend, and he sees me from like right after school on Friday to about Sunday afternoon, evening. And that's the only time I get with him.
How does it make you feel?
It hurts because there's a lot of times where I wish I could just kind of get away from home. Not that I hate my mom, but there's certain things that happen in my household that do hurt me. And it's tough when a lot of things that have happened in my life recently that have been also life-changing in a way that now it's more positive, but at that time I was constantly crying, constantly thinking about when can I get out of here, when can I just go somewhere where I can be loved and not have to worry about people hurting me. And I realize now that someone's always going to hurt you, even if it's the one that you love. And it hurts to know that. It really does bother me, but it happens. There's not really anyone in this world that won't hurt you at least once. And, at least knowing that my father is there now more than ever, that he's willing to help me on my last year of high school and being there. Yeah, he might not have been to every parent-teacher conference and done a lot of the things throughout middle school and beginning of high school, but he's here now when I need him the most, and that's what matters. I went through a lot last year to a point where a lot of things just almost didn't seem like it was real, almost like if I was living a movie. Like, this can't be happening to me of all people, the ordinary girl living in the suburbs, coming from a place where your parents wanted to take me out of. I grew up in Jersey City. And I got out of there by the time I was in like first grade because my grandmother saw where everything was heading. My mom saw where everything was leading in the way that it was bad and it was just turning into a bad neighborhood, so we got out of there. And then I come here into the suburbs of Edison, and yeah, it's been great, and I do miss Jersey City a lot because it was like my home. I didn't grow up enough to really know everything, but I do know that every time I visit, it almost makes me want to tear up a bit because it's like I always wanted to know what it would be like to live there, if my life would have been different, if it would have been the same, if things would have changed, if maybe that area would have made me a different person than what I am now, or would I still have been the same ordinary girl like everybody else? But a lot of people underestimate things, and it's really hard to live with that, knowing that the only people that really know what's happened in my life are the ones that truly are there for me and love me, and that's my family. And I wouldn't change that for the world. I have friends, I have a lot of people that care for me, and that's great, and I love them back. But there's only those select few people that really understand. Not every kid understands growing up with only technically one parent. knowing that my mom was always working when I was a kid. Always. It was like I barely saw her.
So it's basically like you were raised by your grandmother.
Yeah, I was definitely raised by my grandmother, even my great-grandmother. But unfortunately, a few years ago, she had passed. And that was really, really hard for me because I saw her as my grandma and my grandmother as my mom. And, like, my mom and my dad were, like, my aunts and my uncles. Yeah. I mean, yeah, they're my biological parents, and they do a lot for me.
But you never had that time?
The time that I had with my great-grandmother was infinite. It was every day. I was still going to Jersey City elementary school at that time when I was about maybe like 4 or 5. I was still over there, and we would take trips from Edison to Jersey City every day at 5 o'clock in the morning. I would go there, and she'll make me anything that I wanted for breakfast. Aww. My grandmother only drank her coffee, but ever since she passed, we stopped a lot of traditions. Yeah. And that hurt, being the fact that I grew up with her. At her funeral, I sang a song dedicated to her, and I cried tons for weeks. I couldn't stop crying. And what hurt me the most is that at school you would think it was your scapegoat. You would think that school you could get away from everything and be with your friends and be happy and be so calm and not have to worry about a thing in the world. But I go there, and on our HESPA, like one of our biggest tests, or I don't know exactly which test it was, but one of our biggest tests, my math teacher was talking to me, and she's like, "You're like doing bad." And I'm like, I have a lot of things that are going on in my life right now that are life-changing. The same time my great-grandmother had passed, 2 of my other great-grandparents had passed within 2 months, and they were from Puerto Rico. Yeah. And I couldn't be there, and that hurt me. It's like, I love my great-grandmother from here, and I was there with her almost the step of the way. The only day that I missed out was the day she actually passed, and that killed me. Because it was like I was hanging with my friend, having a great time at home, no problem doing my homework. And I said, "Hey, Ma, can I go visit great-grandma today?" "No, honey, she's fine. We're here with her. You know, me and Grandma are here. It's okay. You don't have to come." I said, "Okay, Mom." She's like, "Just do your homework with your friend. Everything will be fine. We'll let you know how everything goes."
Wait, so she was already sick when?
Yeah, she had double pneumonia in her lungs. And she was just very, very ill. And it was from stress, from a lot of things that were just medically wrong. And you know, it just eventually her body was just ready to shut down. And that day that I was with my friend, I come to find out about a half hour to an hour later into my homework, my mom calls me. And it was a phone call that I would never forget in my life. She called me saying that, you know, "Sorry to say, Kristina, but Grandma's no longer here. She's no longer here." And I said, "That's not true, Mommy. Don't say that. She'll come back. There's nothing to worry about." And she's like, "Kristina, she's gone." And I remember my great-grandmother always saying, you know, "If it's my time to go, it's my time to go. I'm not going to stop it." She was already at peace with herself. She didn't want to die in the hospital. She wanted to die at home. But there was nothing that we could have done to stop that. And it hurt knowing that I wasn't there with her. That I could have been there, that I wanted to be there, and I missed out. And because I missed out, I felt like if I was there, maybe, just maybe, she could open her eyes. But I wasn't, and I couldn't see if that would ever happen. So it's like things like that changed me as a person, because that's something that would always be part of me. She's my great-grandmother. I love her to death, and I know she's always looking upon me. I know that her memories will never go of her cooking anything that I wanted at 5 o'clock in the morning, whether it was chicken or bacon or rice and beans. It didn't matter. She did anything for me. And I was her first great-grandchild. And it was definitely emotional. And being that I had my father there and my mom definitely was great. And even though my father wasn't always around, at the times that I needed him, and that's why I love him so much, at the times that I do need him, he is there. My mom is always there, and I thank her so much for that. Because if I didn't have my mom, the one who carried me, the one who gave me the strength, I don't know where I would be right now. If I didn't have my dad to always tell me, "It's okay, everything, you'll be fine, you'll get through this, you're strong." If I didn't have that support, that emotional support, and everything for people to tell me that everything's going to be okay, Kristina, then I honestly think as of this point I'd be someone that everyone in this world would never think of me. Like, they'd be like, oh my God, I can't believe she's doing this, I can't believe she's doing that, because of everything that's happened. But instead I take everything that has happened to me in the past, between deaths in my family, between the divorce and my father, my mom, and between heartbreaks. I take all of that and I make it who I am now. I let it give me the strength and, give me the ability to take it and teach people, give them a lesson, and tell them, yeah, this stuff does happen. And it doesn't just happen to you. It could happen to anybody in this world. It happened to me. Everyone loses something. And you really don't know what you have till it's gone. And when it's gone, you always say, man, I wish I had it back. But instead of saying you wish you had it back, it's almost like, I should have tried harder. It's so hard for me to explain the feelings and the things I go through in my life, because I live my days smiling and nothing's wrong. Everything's fine. I laugh. I go about my day like everything's fine. But I go home.
And then that's when everything just comes out. Right?
Exactly. Reality hits me the minute I hit that bed or I walk into that door. It's like, I can't believe I've gone through all of this. Me, 17-year-old suburb girl, and I've gone through it. It's not just what you see in the movies. It's not the girl that you expect it to happen to. It's the ones that are innocent, the ones that, you don't really see anything really happening, and they're like, oh my God, she's always smiling, she's always so happy. Yeah. How can anything possibly be wrong in your life?
Yeah.
And then they get to know you, they get to know me, and they're like, oh my God, I would have never thought, I would have never guessed that something like that tragic has happened to you.
Because you're always smiling, you're always happy. You always find a way to smile and look at things in a positive light. That's what I love about you. A lot of people, they struggle to do that, And I know that I try, but, I'll be walking down in the hallway and I'll be smiling, but people can still tell that there's something wrong with me. But with you, exactly. it's just the whole entire time,
There's only certain days where eventually, at one point, a person does become weak. Yeah. And it's that one point where everything was so heavy. It got to a point where it's like your body just breaks down and says, you can't handle anymore. You can't handle any more stress. You can't handle any more people telling you that this and that, this is going to go wrong and that's going to happen. Yeah. It's like, yeah, I'm strong. There's only so much strength a person can have.
That's true.
I have tons of it. But at times in my life where, like the time that my great-grandmother passed, or people that I loved or that I knew were gone, or when my father and my mom would argue or pretty much like play tug of war with me. I was like, oh, I'm the parent. No, I'm the parent. Mm-hmm. It's like times like that is when you just become very, very weak. And it's vulnerable and all you do is just cry. The best thing for me is crying. It's actually, like, medically, it's a healing process. It's what I needed, and I cry a lot. And the thing is, I don't like when people see me cry. That's why you see me, jolly happy at school and, outside of school even. And, like, I'm so happy, but I go home and I cry in the shower. I don't even let my family see me cry. I don't like when they see me upset, because then things get into my head and they're saying one thing and then it comes into another, and it's not what I want. I just want to be alone and just let it all out. It was hard for a lot of people to understand my situation. Yeah. It really is, because you never know one until you walk in your moccasins. And unfortunately, no one's going to be walking in my moccasins. It's just me. Mm-hmm. So I only know how it feels. I only know the emotions. I only know how everything goes and what's been going on and things like that. Other than that, no one else is going to know. I mean, some people might know, like my mom, she might know how it feels with my great-grandmother, but she'll never understand my view. it's different when you understand the concept, but understanding that person's view and actually getting into their head and knowing things, it's almost like impossible to reach. It's not there. It's up there, but you're not going to be where you think you will be.
It's so funny because I was walking the other day. I was feeling very down, and so I was like, you know what? I just need some air. I need to get away from my family. So I just went on a walk, and I'm looking at things, and I'm just like, I wish there was a way that people could see what I see and feel what I feel. You know, it's just like I was just thinking it was the craziest thing ever. Like my eyes were cameras, and like it was a movie that I'm just looking at things in a different way that other people view things. I just wish that, like you said, people were able to see exactly what I see and feel exactly how I feel. But
it's hard. It's really hard to find someone that can understand.
yeah.
And when you do, I mean, I know you always will hold on to that person.
Yeah.
You know, but right now I'm very young, and I know finding that person is going to be fairly difficult at this age. And not saying that I haven't tried. I've been in relationships, but there's not saying a failure, but a lesson learned.
Yeah.
A very big lesson learned. And I mean, I've been through heartbreaks where they break up with me for no reason at all, just because, or you know, or that person is unfortunately with another person and they're cheating, or if they're lying. And I don't like liars. I don't like cheaters or anybody like that. I don't think anybody enjoys that. No. I want someone who could love me for me and understand what I've been through and take it and respect it. Yeah. And the past relationships I've had, I haven't gotten any of that. I thought I did, but then it's that disguise, that front. It's the front that they put on and disguise themselves to say, yeah, I understand, yeah, honey, yeah, it's okay. And then you really get to know that person and they don't understand a thing. And they take it and they almost laugh at it like if it's a joke. I don't find it funny that I've been through a very hard divorce with my parents, that, you know, gone through that or still going through that right now. That it's really difficult. And it's actually, you would think,
Go ahead.
You would think it would stop at a young age, and it's actually only getting worse as I get older.
So they're still now playing basically tug of war with you?
Yeah, in a sense, yes, they kind of are. I mean, now that I'm going on to college, it's really like, oh, so are you going to pay for the daughter to go to college, or am I going to pay? Or are we going to split half and half? Or are we going to do this? Are we going to do that for prom, graduation? And it's just gotten to a point where now it's like not even really about me. It's about the money that has to go to me. And it's hard. It's really hard, and especially now in an economy like this, it's really going to be difficult to really financially be stable to support me, and the fact that my mom has another child with my stepfather, and that my father has, you know, his girlfriend with her 2 children. It's gonna be hard to really be able to support, but you know, in the long run, I learned that it's not about if we have the money or not. It's about the fact that you have the support from the family, and you need to do what you want to do. I want to be a pastry chef, and I was so determined. My mom and my dad didn't believe me, because ever since I was little, I changed my mind on everything. Oh, I want to be a dancer. Oh, I want to be an artist. Oh, I want to be a cheerleader. Oh, I wanted to cry. It's like, it was always something crazy.
I mean, all little kids are like that,
Exactly. You never really know what you want. Then just a couple years ago, I found my passion. I found what I loved, and I found baking to be the thing, because as I was little, I always loved drawing. And then as I got older, I started to love cooking. I combined the two, and I was like, hey, baking has all of that. And that's what I did, and that expresses a lot of my feelings. As people don't say it does, it really is a form of art, and it does express a lot of things, just like a painting. You know, if I'm down and I'm out, I'm like taking the anger out on the dough, or like I'm just slapping it onto the counter. It's actually like something kind of like a punching bag that I don't have in my household. And you know, and if I'm all happy, I'm designing everything with all pretty colors, and I'm just like, oh look, I'm having fun, you know? And it's great. And when I have that feeling, it's a feeling that like no one really can take from me. It's like, this is what I love doing, and I'm not going to stop. And my father and my mom saw that. And now that they see that I'm not going to change my decision, and my mind is already made up and set on what I want to do, and that's my goal, is to reach it, now they're more encouraging and more supportive than ever.
Yeah.
Because they're like, wow, she really isn't going to change her mind.
Yeah, I know the last time when I was at your house, your mom was like, oh, go make me something. What was
brownies. She wanted brownies.
Brownies. Go make me some brownies.
It's like every time I walk into the grocery store and they're heading to the baking section, they automatically, I already know they're going to look at me. Because I know they're not going to do it. They're going to make me do it.
Yeah.
And I don't mind. And that's the thing. I don't mind. I love cooking. And it's just something that I can go to when I'm down. I mean, I might get fat in the process. But it's something that I can turn to when I'm down and out. Kind of like music. Like, I go to music a lot.
Yeah.
Being the fact that my father is a DJ and a music promoter, and my mom loves dancing. My mom will listen to all the Spanish artists, and her favorite is Mark Anthony.
Yeah.
I mean, my gosh, she could play that for hours, just like I could play certain people for hours. And it's just a way where that person could just capture everything. Going back to when my great-grandmother died, the song that I sang for her was P. Diddy and I believe Faith Evans, and they sang Missing You. And there's the chorus of that song is talking about how you'll always be missing that person, but no matter what, you know that they're always there. And when I sang that, it was a way of me coping with what happened. Because that song just captured every feeling and put it in a way that I can understand, in a way that it could let everything out.
Yeah.
You know, it's songs like that, like the song Kristina Aguilera, I Turn to You. My grandmother used to work as a teacher for 30 plus years at Drury City at the school that I went to. She was a math teacher for 8th graders, and they had an 8th grade graduation and everything, and she retired a year after her mother had passed.
Yeah.
And it was because it was really hard for her emotionally to really be in that situation, because her mother was always there for everything. For every 8th grade graduation, she was there. For every opening of school, she was there.
Yeah.
During the summer, setting up the room, she was there. And knowing that she's not anymore, it took a toll on her.
Yeah.
And she's like, I don't know if I could really be in the same environment knowing that my mother was always there beside me and no longer is.
Yeah.
When she retired, her friends and her colleagues put together a little retirement party for her. And I sang the song I Turn to You. And I cried. As I was singing it, I was trying so hard not to cry. I was like, I can't cry. But it's nothing you really can help.
Yeah.
It's nothing you can control. When you cry, you cry.
Yep.
And I was always taught to let it out. Just let it out. You know? And I looked at her, and it was the moment that I looked at her eyes and I saw the tears. It was like, I knew I was going to break down. I knew that I was ready to like, oh my God, I'm not going to be able to finish the song. And she just looked at me and cried, and I was like, why'd you have to look at me? Why? Why did we have to make eye contact? Because now I'm crying. And she's like, I'm sorry. You know, it just happened.
Yeah.
And I tried to finish the song, and I couldn't. It's things like that songs can capture so many moments and make so many memories.
Yes, I can.
You know, being at my Sweet 16, my father dancing with me to a Mark Anthony song, My Baby You, or me and my mom dancing to Mama by Boyz II Men. It's songs like that you will always remember because it's so emotional.
Yeah. Really.
And it people don't think it changes your life, but music can change your life. It can make you see so many things you never thought you could see on a daily basis.
Or give you strength to just keep on.
Exactly. I mean, when I'm down and out and I'm like, oh my God, I'm not going to get through this situation. I listen to Mary J. Blige or Kirk Franklin, you know, singing, you know, those powerful, almost gospel sounds, you know, and you're just like, whoa, I'm empowered.
Yeah.
Everything's fine.
Yeah.
I'm going to be all right. Like, woo. And then, you know, the song ends and you're like, aw.
And then, you know what I do? I'll be off listening to my iPod. I'll have that song, one song, you know, there's just one song that, you know, that really captures you and how you're feeling, and you can relate so much to it. I'll just put it on repeat and I'll play it over and over and over and over again until I find that strength that I can finally get up and I'm like, okay, I'm done, I can do it, I can move on.
Exactly. But it's songs like that take a toll in my life.
Yeah.
Because the fact that I was always surrounded by music, it's always going to be a part of my life. And There's even a one song, Frankie J's Daddy's Little Girl. In the song, he does talk about how the father just up and left.
Yeah.
In my situation, my father didn't just up and leave. It was almost like if he was forced to leave.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying because of just my mom, but because of nature. Just, it wasn't right.
Yeah.
It wasn't meant to be.
Yeah.
And I wanted him to stay. I trust me, I wanted that tuck in the bed, the bedtime stories.
Yeah.
Or the kiss on the forehead when I had nightmares. I wanted okay, I'll take you to school, here's your book bag, now go. I wanted that. I wanted that from both my parents. My mom did it. My grandmother did it. And it was great. I love them for that. I appreciate them for that. And it's so hard to say that I didn't have my mom and my dad doing it together.
Yeah.
There wasn't that togetherness, that closeness that every other family had, you know? And I honestly can say I do prefer them being divorced because they don't argue every day. I don't have to hear the arguing and having to tell them to stop, just end it.
Yeah.
But it still hurts because it's like it's something that I missed out on.
Yeah.
I have it now, and I'm thankful that I have, even though they're both apart from each other, I still have them together with me.
Yeah.
And I have both of them in me. A mixture of my father's personalities, a mixture of my mom's personalities, a mixture of their flaws and everything. I'm like 50-50 when it comes to them.
Yeah.
It's the memory that will never leave. The fact that I didn't have that. You know, the fact that I almost had to choose. And it's never easy to choose between the two people you love the most. The ones who love you back.
Yeah.
It's like you don't want to choose. I didn't want to choose. And I still haven't. I love them both equally. I love them both the same, the way they love me.
Yeah.
And I will never change. And I just wish, I do wish that things could have changed for the better. There's a lot of times where I looked at my mom and I said, can't you and Dad just get back together? Oh, but we'll argue. I can't stand his guts. Or, you know, Dad, you know, ever thought about him? No, are you insane? You know, and I'm like, just why? Why can't people just try?
Yeah.
You know, but you can't force someone to do something that they're not meant to do, that they don't want to do. And I let it be the way it is. And I deal with everything that goes on. I go through many situations, like I've said, that are emotional, mentally, and physically hurtful.
Yeah.
But I get through it. If I let it get to me, I wouldn't be here today. I would not be here today. But the fact that I grew from everything, I learned from my mistakes, as well as others, as well as my father's and my mother's, my grandparents, my aunts, and my uncles and nieces and cousins. I learned from them all. And that made me such a better person, knowing that they've gone through so much, as well as I, that now I can say, well, I've been through it too. And you know what? I'm still standing.
Well, thank you, Kristina, so much.
You're welcome.
Like,